Mr. Corrick and Mr. Van Zant have Mr. Van Zant's title listed, and you will probably remember because you actually brought it up at the last meeting. You said, well, what if Mr. Van Zant wants to still sponsor this and just have his title? And Mr. Bickner explained that it would be appropriate to have his title afterwards. That if Mr. Bickner, as the school board's attorney, went to something, he wouldn't list himself as Clay County School Board's attorney Bruce Bickner. He would list it as Bruce Bickner, Clay County School Board attorney. And that was how he instructed it should be done. And it's not done that way. It's done as Clay County School Board or Clay County School District Superintendent Charlie Van Zant and the report card co-sponsor, which still gives the impression, I believe, that we are co-sponsoring. And up until I believe this special meeting was called, the logo was still up there. The very next day after the meeting, Mr. Wingate sent out an email to our principals and had them forward it to our history teachers, inviting them to attend. So we were told, or actually we instructed the superintendent to disassociate ourselves from it, and now he's sending out that flyer that somebody else just held up a minute ago. The original flyer that has the logo and the school board's co-sponsor on it, no changes to it whatsoever. That flyer was what was sent out to all of the school employees, which is not following the instruction that the board voted unanimously. 5 of us voted on it. This is what was sent out. I'm sure you saw it. It was what was originally sent to us as the board. So we have not disassociated ourselves with it. And I think the bigger issue is the fact that Mr. Van Zant went ahead, signed this contract, the purchase order was issued. You know, we're not in the business of lending money. And so whether or not it was paid back is beside the point. We are not, I mean, this should never have happened. Mr. Van Zant, I feel, has overstepped his bounds. He's abused the power of the office that he has as superintendent of schools. So he's absolutely right. I think everybody here saw it on the news, and Mr. Van Zant said that the school board does not have the authority to do an investigation. And he's right, we don't. And I'm grateful that Mrs. Studdard called this special meeting so that we, as the governing body, minus Ms. McKinnon, could discuss this. Because we need to discuss it. We need to decide what further action needs to be taken, because he's right. We do not have the authority to do an investigation. But we certainly have the authority to gather our information, to do our research, to give our opinion of what we feel was correct or incorrect, and discuss what needs to be done from that point. So I'm glad that we're here. I'd like to hear what Mrs. Bullock and Mrs. Studdard have to say, but I certainly feel like this needs to go further, and somebody higher up than us needs to look at it.
I'd like to ask Mr. Bickner, is our logo copyrighted? Is it, you're not allowed to use it?
No, it has not been copyrighted. There is a use doctrine in Florida that I can't really sit down and talk to you about. If I had some notice, I certainly would have been prepared to. But the idea that someone uses something on their website to promote and to make money using the name. Now, the logo itself is not copyrighted, but I think to sit and use the name of Clay County Schools, district schools, to promote something on the website and make money off of it, gives an impression that, wrongly, that for some reason the district is part of that website and part of that activity in the way.
So are you saying it's illegal, or it's legal, or you don't know?
I think it's actionable. It's not copyrighted, but I think it's actionable.
Well, you have to remember, we took a unanimous vote directing the superintendent to remove it. We also had our attorney draft a letter to Mr. Corrick, a cease and desist letter, that, you know, it was still up there up until this special meeting was called. So I feel like something here we need to go forward with. This is what's your opinion?
Well, the concern I have in item number 1, of course, is the using the district resources. You know, we have proper accounting procedures. In fact, at last month's meeting, we fired a teacher for improper accounting procedures. We dismissed her. Yet, here, we used improper accounting procedures, and that seems to be all right, and that's not. And when they say a post-dated purchase order, I can assure you, if you go to the bank and try to give them a post-dated check, they're probably gonna turn you down.
Well, I was just under the impression that Mrs. Racine and Dr. Copeland said there was absolutely nothing wrong with what went on, and that it was also attached to it was a do not pay, and then somebody inadvertently in her office paid.
That's true, there was something on it that said pay on October 24th, you're right, and it was paid before that date. But that's no different than like Ms. McKinnon said in her letter. She equated it to making a hotel reservation, paying it with a credit card and paying it later. Well, we're not in the business of loaning money to do that. If Mr. Korak wanted to have an event, he should have done it under his own name, without using the school district's name, the school district's resources, our tax ID number, or our insurance. Because let's remember, it opens us up to the first $100,000 we are responsible for any incident that should happen. So, as Mrs. Bullock pointed out, we have to be prudent with these dollars. We're way below our 3%. We all know that. Every penny counts. $100,000, one accident.
Right.
Every little penny.
I mean, I don't think we ought to be wasting any money. We've got hardworking employees that we're still working with to get them what they deserve. And so if we spend any money anymore on things that really are not going to make a difference here or there, I think that making your statement and, saying what you feel and think, and opening communication with the superintendent by going in and talking to them, making appointments if you've got a problem, and trying to work it out.
I attempted to do that. I sent an email before any of this came before the board. I spoke with him personally, and I got nowhere. He did not see it as an issue or a problem, and it continued to snowball until it became a bigger concern. Again, when a purchase order is made, that money becomes encumbered at that time. So that money no longer was ours at that time. So it's a commitment. That's right.
Okay. There's several things. It's hard to remember everything you wanted to say on this. I thought, as Ms. Graham said, I thought after the last meeting that we had put this behind us and we were going to move forward. But regrettably, the very next day after we had the board meeting where we voted 5-0 to disassociate ourselves from the conference, and I took that to mean in every way. An email was sent out by one of our administrators and it says, some of you asked about the brochure for the November 4th and 5th Dare to Think. Here it is. And when I looked at the attachment, right across the front, it's showing co-sponsored by the Clay County School District and the report card. And then I saw another email. He had sent this out to the 7 high school principals. And then one of the, I don't know what 6 of the high school principals did with it, but I know that one high school principal then sent this note out to her history teachers, wanting to know if they would please receive the attached brochure. If you would like to attend this conference in Orange Park at the Thrasher Horn on November 4th and 5th, please let me know. So I thought to myself, well, that's odd that the day after we had a unanimous vote on the board floor that the very brochure that we were trying to disassociate ourselves with was sent out to the high school principals. So, in all fairness, I went to see the administrator who sent it out, and he said, well, a couple principals had asked me about it, and I said, where did you get this brochure? He said, from the public relations officer. And I said, well, it seems strange to me that the day after a board meeting, when it was very emphatic how the board felt about this, that it's continuing to be promoted in-house, so to speak. So that kind of gave me pause. And so then I started looking through some other emails. You know, when I first heard about this Dare to Think conference, I think it was when we first got an email from an employee at one of the schools wanting to know what it's about. So I sent an email down and said, could you please explain to me what this conference is about? On one of the public records requests where we saw the whole string of emails, I have since learned that, I think y'all did too, ask what is this about, kind of, but when I learned about it, in fairness, and Ms. Graham, because I feel like you do, these kind of things need to be taken care of. We need to be quiet about it as much as possible, get it taken care of. Clay County School District is a fine school district, and we certainly deserve better than airing our dirty linen in public. So I went not once, but twice to Mr. Van Zant and talked to him behind closed doors about my concerns about this conference. After researching the speakers and their topics, and that I was really concerned about using the name Clay County School District as a co-sponsor for something that did seem to have some political undertones.